Today we're going to make some pickles. I've got my special pickling shirt on and we're getting ready to go. Last night my lovely wife Dee Dee cut the ends off of cucumbers that we picked late yesterday afternoon. She soaked them in a brine solution overnight and we're ready to get slicing. One of the first things we're going to do is slice cucumbers. We're actually using a meat slicer to slice the cucumbers. That way we can get uniform pickle chips every single time. Timothy's here slicing cucumbers with the meat slicer and he'll demonstrate for you. We're also making pickle spears. Claire is taking the cucumbers and she's quartering them. If they're tiny, she's just cutting them in half. And she's doing that with a butcher knife. If you notice, Claire only has 9 fingers.
So Eli, what are you doing?
Picking dill for the pickles. I love dill.
Alright, so what we're doing here is we are sterilizing the jars that we're going to be using for the canning. And this one we have quart-sized jars, and over here we have pint-sized jars. And so we just, sterilize the jars by boiling them for a few minutes, and then we keep them warm until it's time to use them. And once it's time to use them, we just use this wonderful tool, put it around the mouth of the jar, and we're able to take it out and empty the water back into the container and pack the jar filled with the cucumbers, and then we do our spices. And alright, so what we're doing here is we have our water and our sugar and the vinegar and the salt all boiling together, and I am adding in our pickling spices, which you put onto some cheesecloth, and then you just tie it up and put it in there to help flavor it. And so while this is boiling and steeping, after we get it boiling, then we will pack the pickle jars with the cucumbers, and then we will pour on the proper amount of this liquid into the jars so that it will flavor our pickles nicely. So I just tie it up nice and easy, drop it in, and turn this back on so it'll boil with the spices in there for a few minutes, and then I'll turn it off just to steep, and then we'll be ready to go.
Go ahead.
Action.
Hi, I'm getting jars out of hot water so we can pack them. I'm packing cucumbers in the jars.
Okay, so what we've got here, the jars have been packed like so with the assorted cucumber slices. Some are sliced and some are spears, and then we have a few still left whole like this that we'll put in one more jar that were just tinier. And on top we put some mustard seeds, some dill heads, as well as this lovely pickle crisp granules from that Ball puts out that will cause your pickles to be crisp instead of mushy. So the mixture that we had done inside, that had the vinegar and the water and the sugar and the spices that we bound up, we pour that, we ladle that into our jars until it is about a 1/4 inch from the top. This one's not quite ready to finish yet. Lucy still needs to put in the spices. So Lucy, go ahead and show them how to do that. The quart size has 2 teaspoons, right? Okay, you can use a little bit more than what you just did. That's fine. Yeah. Good. And then I put in my my granules like this, just a 1/4 inch, and then we put in the dill heads. So, and this recipe calls for 3 per quart. So we'll just put 3 of those in. That one's a nice big one. All right, so then I'll finish filling it with our liquid. And at at that point, I'll put it down, and Ball has this lovely little package. I showed you earlier the device that we use to get the jars out of the boiling water. In that is also included a funnel, this lovely plastic stick that has measurements on it, so you can see that your measurement from the top of the jar is right. You just use it like so. And different ingredients will call for different amounts of measure, so that's why they have it graduated like that. The other end of it, you stick down into the jar like so to help get the bubbles out, the air bubbles, because you don't want those in there. You want to be sure that your liquid takes up the proper amount of space. And when you've got those air bubbles, I'm getting quite a few out of this one. Just put them in, push it aside, and then I will add in my liquid till I get to the 1/4 inch from the top. There we go. And that's that. So all we'll have to do now is put on the lids that have been heated and then boil them in the hot water for about 10 minutes. As you can see, I'm now putting the lids on the jars. I was careful to wipe the rims of the jars with a damp cloth to get any of the excess liquid that we had poured into the jars off, because you want to be sure that your jars are able to seal well. I had put the, you're supposed to soak these in simmering water for 10 minutes before you use them in order to soften up this material here around the jars so that it will stick to the jars better. Just kind of on a whim, I went ahead and put it in my spaghetti strainer. I put them in here, and I was just able to pull it out. Oh, that was a brilliant idea. I'll do it again. So anyway, once we get all the lids on here like this, I will just hand tighten these rims around, just like so. And you don't have to, you know, turn and turn and turn real super tight. You just want it tight enough that the lids are going to stay in place. And so once I'm done with this, we'll take them and we'll put them into the boiling bath water, and they'll cook there for the 10 minutes. And then hopefully that will be it, and the jars, the lids will seal properly, and we will have pickles. Thanks a lot. Alright, so here we are. We've got the jars in our water. If you come closer, you can see the air bubbles are starting to come out. I'm not yet counting the time for my 10 minutes. You're supposed to wait until it starts boiling before you start counting. So we're just waiting till we get to that point, and then after the 10-minute period in the boiling water, we'll take them out and hopefully get to hear some jar lids pop.
After you remove the jars of pickle from the boiling water, what will happen is air has been evacuated out of the jars, and it'll start to cool down. And as it cools down, it will the lids will get sucked in and create a seal. And when the seal has been created, you'll hear the lids make a popping sound. So if you listen, you'll hear them popping.